Mahadev Swamiji. It is okay, Swamiji.
Sound is okay. Let's start. Shivaya Namaha, Shivaya Namaha. Aradhana, you will have to start the recording too. Om. Om Yo Brahmanam Vidadhati Purvam Yo Vai Vedanscha Prahinoti Tasmai Tamhadevamatma Buddhi Prakasham Mumukshurvai Sharanamaham Prapadye. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Namo Brahmadibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartribhyo Vamshashibhyo Mahadbhyo Namo Gurubhyaha Sarvo Paplavarahitaha Prajnana Pratyagartho Brahmaivahamasmi Brahmaivahamasmi. Vedantartha Vibhasakaya Gurave Shantaya Sanyasine Nanavadi Nagendra Sanghapavaye Yogindra Vandyaya Cha Mohadvanta Divakaraya Bhagavat Padabhidham Bibhrate Tasmai Bhashakrite Namostu Satatam Purnaya Bodhatmane Om. Mahadeva. So in the 56th verse of the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan Shri Krishna, in defining who is a Sthitaprajna, meaning the one in whom the knowledge has become steadfast. Puja Gurudev used to call a man of steadfast wisdom. This wisdom is not the wisdom of local smartness, local in the sense, the worldly smartness. This wisdom means in knowing Atma is Brahman, that Atma I am. So the knowledge of the self as Brahman is steady. Let me tell you one more thing, and it is not assuming a new identity, because very often in search of pleasure, in search of comfort, in search of more joy, we keep on changing the identities. If the identity of a person is, I am unmarried and hence I am unhappy, and therefore in order for me to be pleased with myself, I need to change my status, which is to find an appropriate girl, get married, and then have the status of a married man. So the person keeps on changing one identity to another identity, from being poor to being more rich, from being material to being spiritual, from being evil to being good, from being irreligious to being religious, from being indisciplined to being disciplined, so on and so forth. A person keeps on changing the identities. Is this understanding Atma is Brahman? Is this also another identity that a person should assume? So over here, we are being told, we understand now that every identity is a form of ego, which means it is nothing but just the aham karta, aham bhokta, the sense of doership, the sense of experiencership remains intact. It just keeps on changing the makeup. The mask changes, but the basic core, aham karta, aham bhokta, aham jivaha, that remains intact. In understanding Atma is Brahman, this very core of all the identities, the core of all identities is aham parichinnaha, I am a limited entity. I am the doer, I am the experiencer. That itself is falsified. And in knowing the meaning of this I, is Sachidananda Vastu Brahman, limitless consciousness in which all the names and forms, manifest and unmanifest world is only an appearance. That is the meaning of this I. This is the wisdom which we are talking about, and it is the steadfastness of this wisdom that is being discussed over here. So the one who is a Jivan Mukta Brahmajnani, in him this Brahmajnanam now is not shaken, it does not tremor because of the onslaught of, of situations of pleasure and pain. It does not tremor, it does not shake, it does not tremble because of any doubts or because of any viparita bhavana. And therefore, now we are talking about the knowledge being steady. So here, one more lakshanam, one more distinguishing characteristic is being revealed to us by Bhagavan Shri Krishna. In the 56th verse, kindly recite the verse. Dukkeshvanudvignamanaha, dukkeshvanudvignamanaha, sukheshu vigatasprihaha, sukheshu vigatasprihaha, vitaragabhayakrodhaha, vitaragabhayakrodhaha, sthitadhirmuniruchyate, sthitadhirmuniruchyate. Now, in this particular verse, such a sthitadhi, it is basically dhi. Dhi means buddhi, jnanam, sthita, prajna is sthita. Such knowledge is sthiram, meaning it is steady. And such a person, now Bhagavan Shri Krishna says, is muniruchyate, sthitadhihi, muniruchyate. He is called as Muni. Who is a Muni? The one who is sthitadhi is Muni. Mune is a very interesting word. It means mananashila, a person who has a natural meditative disposition, one whose disposition is meditative, which means now the mind of such a person does not dwell, does not float, doesn't just swim on a superficial level of life, but is able to go through and reach the depth of life and discover the reality behind all the names and forms. That the one whose mind now is capable of entering into all the intricacies and reaching the very bottom, the very core of life, which is the reality. Sare namarupon ko, everything that is changeable is the mind now goes, breaks through, is not stopped, is not these changing names and forms, situations, etc., are not able to stop his mind from recognizing the reality behind all the changes. Look at us with change in situation, with change in opinions. People will keep on changing opinions about you. Whatever is convenient to people, people are bound to have that opinion. Look at yourself and you find out how many times you have changed opinions about people. Someone whom you once found admirable, at another moment you have found the same person to be despicable. At one moment you have found somebody as a friend, on another day you have found the same person to be someone who should be ignored. At one moment you have judged somebody to be very successful, and another day you have called that person to be an utter failure in life. At one moment you have said that this person is extremely trustworthy. On another day you have said, I cannot trust this person. How many times we have changed opinions about people? Why wouldn't people change opinions about you? How then in this world do you expect that everybody should call you good all the time? How do you think that people should keep on giving you importance all the time? How do you think that you should be the very center of life for people all the time? What a childish demand is this? And therefore, know how the mind functions. And therefore, do not be stopped. Do not find yourself blocked by these changing names and situations, names and forms, situations, opinions. But let the mind become so meditative, so contemplative, that it is able to dive deep down and discover the changeless substratum behind all the changes. The changes are transitory. The changes are false. That what is changeless is real. And therefore, he whose mind now is capable of taking him right to that rock bottom of life, which is changeless, the very bedrock of all the changes, then such a person is a muni. Sthitadhihi muniruchyate. And the characteristic of such a person is dukkheshu anudvignamanaha. His mind does not get perturbed in situations of sorrow, dukkheshu, in the situations of misery. And we have seen in our earlier discourse that Madhusudan Saraswati now had thrown light on the word dukkham. He said these dukkhas are trivida dukkhas of three types. Dukkhas which are brought to us by physical elements, in the sense the people around, the animals around, so on and so forth. Even those physical elements which are well beyond everybody's capacity, then we say are Adi Daivika. The first type of dukkha is Adi Bhautikam. The second type is called as the Adi Daivikam, which is beyond, well beyond the control of everyone, whether it is a tsunami or a cyclone or a typhoon, summer or winter. Can even the president of a country, with his mighty military power, will be able to stop the onslaught of a winter or the intensity of the summer? And therefore, these are Adi Daivika Dukkhas. And then finally, we have Adhyatmika. Your own body, mind, senses, etc., when they create dukkham for you, it is called as Adhyatmika Dukkham. It is now said that this Muni is someone who is not disturbed, in the sense, who is not knocked off by these Trivida Dukkhas. Dukkheshu Anudvignamanaha. Dukkheshu Anudvignamanaha. Come what may. And it means that do not think that just because you have started following Bhagavad Gita means dukkham will not come. Dukkham will come, but there will arise a power in which you will be able to face the dukkham. The dukkham will not be able to subdue you. And that is the spiritual power. Spiritual power is not that dukkham itself will not come. Now look at the life of great saints and sages. Have they never fallen sick? Have they never had situations which were situations of misery, whether it is Kunti or Arjuna or the Pandavas, Draupadi? Look at their situations, the situations that they have gone through. These are great souls, and there is a lot to learn from them. Whether it is Vasishtha, Rama, Krishna, even the avatars, once when the body is assumed, the situations of dukkhas are not going to be missed even for avatar. This is what Bhagavan Rama has taught. He was asked that, Bhagavan, you are Sachidananda Brahma. You are unaffected by the world. Then when Sita is abducted, how is it that we find you crying in the forest, Ha Sita, Ha Sita? At that time, Bhagavan Ram answers, and he says that this is true, that this I am Shuddha Brahma. Yet, this is the very purpose of avatar, to teach, to impart the knowledge. One of the purposes of avatar is to impart the knowledge of reality. And therefore, Bhagavan, in order to let the world know what is his true nature, comes as the avatar. And as a part of that teaching, now he has to show that he who has assumed the body, the one who is identified with the body, then having assumed the body, who one will have to face the dukkhas. Adhyatmika, Adidaivika, Adi Bhautika, all the dukkha's are bound to come to you. Then what is it there to learn? The one who remains unaffected. The very reason why he is able to remain unaffected, there are two reasons, two aspects to it. One is because the knowledge of reality now has allowed him to know the transitory nature of the world. And another reason is his own vairagyam, which protects him from falling prey to the dukkha. The only armor that you can wear against this onslaught of three dukkhas is to have your mind constantly immersed in satsanga, which means on this knowledge, A, and B is to have vairagyam. And we have discussed this idea of vairagyam at every point, even during the Jivan Mukti Viveka, when we were studying, it did come to us. It means the person has stopped expecting the world to make him happy. Puja Guruji often sings this bhajan, Ram Sathe Preet Bandhi Hoya Taise Hoya. Koi nindo, koi bando, koi kaise kaho re. Ram Sathe Preet Bandhi Hoya Taise Hoya re. Now let people censure or let people praise. Koi nindo, koi bando. Those who want to praise, let them praise. And those who want to censure, let them censure me. Let them call me names. Koi kaise kaho re, because people are bound to say whatever they want. If you have taken up the job of controlling somebody's speech, then you will have to sit as a policeman all the time. And you will find how helpless you are. Because people, even if they do not say it on your face, they are going to do that behind you. And so over here now, dukhe Ram sathe preeta bandhi hoya taise hoya re. I have tied the knot, I have preeta bandhi, I have tied my love at the feet of Bhagavan Ram. Let whatever happens, let it happen. Dukkeshu anudvignamanaha, sukheshu vigataspraha. And when the situations of sukha arises, just as you have three sources of dukkham, similarly you can say there are three sources of your joy and pleasure. Pleasure and joy coming from people and elements around you. Joy and pleasure coming from situations and elements which are still beyond on a very sunny and a very nice day. You don't feel excited? And don't you tell your wife or your husband, let's go out. It's a nice day. Let's go and sit in an open restaurant and have a cup of coffee. So now what has excited you? Is it not a sunny, nice day? Vasanta, it excites. And so now there are adi bhautika reasons, adi daivika reasons. There is adhyatmika. The day you feel that your stomach is okay and you feel fresh and nice. You are happy. The day somebody is constipated and the wife keeps on saying, bring this, you are already irritated. You tell her, please keep quiet. And she wonders, what did I do? I'm just telling simple things. And you say, don't bother me. You're already bothered by your own stomach. And therefore over there, it is adhyatmika reason, which is so just as you have these three reasons which are sources of misery, similarly these three, when the punya udaya takes place, these very three sources become the cause of your joy and pleasure. So sukheshu, and when the situations are of that of joy and pleasure, vigata sprihaha, he is the person who does not have spriha. Madhusudana Saraswati ji explains the word spriha very interestingly, though we can simply translate it and call spriha as longing. Yet he says spriha is very interesting. He says, स्पृहा नाम सुखानुभव काले तज्जातीय सुखस्य कारणं धर्मम् अननुष्ठाय वृथैव तदाकांक्षा रूप तामसी चित्तवृत्तिः भ्रांतिरेव. He says it is a bhranti. That spriha is a bhranti. Bhranti meaning some sort of erroneous demand. Bhranti, a delusion. Because when you are experiencing joy, this joy is because you have already done some punya in the past, whose result is this situation. So it is the phalam of some punya. It is a result, it is a consequence of some punyam that a person had done in past, whether it is this life or earlier life, but it is a result of punyam. But this person now says, now this kind of a sukham should continue in my life. For that sukham to be had, you should then do the dharma. But without doing the punya, without punya karma, without doing the dharma anusthana, now he expects its result. It is like without sowing the seed, you are expecting to reap. How foolish that is. And therefore, since it is that foolish, it is a delusion. And therefore, spriha, that may this happiness, such happy situations always continue. That demand is called as spriha. And this spriha is bhranti. And because it is bhranti, it is a tamasa chitta vritti. What is it? It is a tamasa chitta vritti. And this will happen when you are experiencing happy situations. May this continue. खुशी के ये पल हमेशा रहे. अब भाई पल है तो यहीं पे वो पड़े न थे, भाग जाएगा यहीं. पल हमेशा रहे, हमेशा कैसे अननुष्ठाय वृथैव तदाकांक्षा रूपा तामसी चित्तवृत्ति ही भ्रांतिरेव. Therefore he calls this is spriha. Look what a beautiful explanation, analysis of that word spriha. But how is this person of the steadfast wisdom? Vigata sprihaha. He is the one from whom such a demand has vanished. Vigata sprihaha. He is the one from whom the spriha has vigata. Vigata means has vanished, has gone away. So without any demand. and therefore he is always prepared to face new situation. He does not live in stale situations. He is fresh always. Sukheshu vigatas sprihaha, dukheshu anudvignamanaha, sukheshu vigatas sprihaha, vitaraga bhayakrodha. Similarly, he is the one from whom raga, bhaya, and krodha. Raga leads to bhayam. Bhayam leads to krodha. Raga is a form of vasana, rasam, not the Tamil rasam. Rasam means where a person takes interest in something, finds something interesting, to my like, to my liking. It is to my liking that is called as rag. Once there is rag, it is bound to create insecurity, bhayam. Whenever you are threatened and one feels insecure, intimidated, just know there is some rag. Go to the bottom of that. Resolve it in Brahmajnanam. Vitaraga, bhayakrodha. Similarly, frustrations and anger, all this is resolved. So do you see? Now here is a person from whom all these complexes, from where the personality operates, are all loosened, are gone, are dissolved, resolved. Bhaya krodha, and therefore sthitadhi. Therefore, nothing, there are no factors available which will shake the knowledge. And so here is a person in whom the knowledge is steadfast, and therefore such a person is called as Munihi. Furthermore, in 57th verse, kindly repeat the verse. Yas sarvatranabhisneha, yas sarvatranabhisneha, tat tat prapya priya priyam, tat tat prapya shubha shubham, nabhinandati nadveshti, nabhinandati nadveshti. Tasya prajna pratisthita, tasya prajna pratisthita, tasya prajna pratisthita. This is prajna and buddhi. All this Bhagavan Shri Krishna is using as synonyms. Of course, prajna is the basic nature of prajna is buddhi. That is, buddhi itself is called as prajna. But when will this intelligence, buddhi meaning intelligence, be called as prajna? When it comes having purified itself through the process of samadhi, is prajna. Tatra ritambhara prajna. Tasya prajna pratisthita. There the prajna is pratisthita. One of the teachers, modern teachers, has explained this word pratisthita is pratishtha ita. Has pratishtha means pratishtha means a status of a person. Status, and in our worldly transactions, don't we say he is a person with a status? प्रतिष्ठित व्यक्ति है, respectful person, a respected person, प्रतिष्ठित, well recognized, admired by, just not popular. Popularity is not pratishtha. Respect, because even a criminal is also popular. But that is not pratishtha. Pratishtha is being respected. So this prajna now has, the intelligence has gained what? Pratishtha, is respected. Pratishtita. Who नाभिनंदति न द्वेष्टि तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता यस सर्वत्र अनभिस्नेहः यहा, he who, it is a pronoun. Yaha means it is a pronoun. He who. Now that he who means who? It can be Arjuna, it could be Janaka, it can be Yajnavalkya, it could be anybody, Ashtavakra, it can be Dattatreya, it can be even you. He who, because that pronoun allows you to keep anybody in that. But when will that person be called as Sthira Prajna? He who, and Bhagavan Bhashyakara says that he who means Munihi, because Bhagavan Shri Krishna has used the word Muni in the earlier shloka. A person who has this natural disposition of contemplativeness, a meditative disposition. Which means the person is not superficial. When will you call, we just discussed though, when will you call a person as superficial? When the person is not able to reach the depth behind the changing situations or changing factors. Just observes what is there, on the surface of life. If somebody is doing ha ha hoo hoo, the person thinks that this is a person very happy. Just because somebody has a car, the person thinks he's a person who's very happy. Just because he finds that somebody has married a beautiful woman, he must be happy. That's not all. Don't become such judges by these superficial levels. Understanding a person or understanding somebody is still different. And even if you understand the psychology, is a person with little depth. But we are talking not about a person with ordinary depth of becoming a person who understands the psychology of other people and understand that compassionately. But we are talking about somebody who now goes well beyond all this and is able to see the Paramatma seated in the heart of all. So there we are talking about such a Muni. This is the meaning that is allowed by this pronoun Yaha. For us, we can accommodate so much meaning in that Yaha. Yaha. So he who what? Sarvatra anabhisnehaha. He who is anabhisnehaha everywhere, unattached in all the situations. He who is anabhisnehaha. So in the earlier verse, we used to the word spriha. Now we have to look at the word sneha. And that sneha is going to be said as anabhisneha. So sneha, abhisneha, Anabhisneha. So the understanding of the word is going to proceed in 3 levels. Sneha is attachment. Abhisneha is abhitaha, from all the sides, which means intensely. Abhisneha. And then anabhisneha, who does not have any intense attachment. And whatever may happen in the neighbor's house, I am not concerned. No, sarvatra anabhisneha. In all the cases, everywhere, anabhisneha. And not only anabhisneha, it is sarvatra anabhisneha. Sneha is the quality of gond, of a gum. It sticks, adhesive, does not stick to anything, anyone, does not chase anyone or anything. Anabhisneha tat tat prapya shubhashubham. And then whatever may come, shubha and ashubha, meaning the result of punyam or the result of path, situation, happy situations or sad situations. Tat tat prapya. Whatever may be the situation, as a result of punya, there will be a happy situation. As a result of some papa karma, it will be a sad situation. But what tat tat prapya, having attained that, going through these situations, he neither rejoices on gaining what is pleasant, nor does he hates anything on gaining that what is unpleasant. Nabhinandati, abhinandanam, nadveshti, doesn't even hate. Tasya prajna pratishtita. His prajna is pratishtita. Such a person's that knowledge is steadfast. Okay. Bhagavan Bhashyakara says, Sarvatra anabhisneha, he does not stick, he does not get attached anywhere. Sarvatra, in all situations, he does not get attached, meaning in any situation, he does not get attached. Sarvatra. Bhagavan Bhashyakara explains this as Deha Jivitadishu api. He is not even attached to his own body or even the desire to live. Deha Jivitadishu api. Mahatma Gandhi wanted to live well beyond 100 years. For what? Whatever is the body meant to, the whatever number of days that this body is supposed to live is prarabdhavasha. Prarabdhavasha is determined by the prarabdha. Whether you want, you don't want, the prarabdha is not going to take your permission. There's demand that I should live longer, I should have, the body should stay very intact till the end, it should be healthy, and I should be like a jumping jack even at 96. At 16, you were jumping jack. What are you doing at 96 jumping even now? Oh no, Swamiji, you don't know. It is very good to stay young forever. There is a function for the body at that younger days to be jumping jack. Now what? Now let that body be used for the purpose that it is meant for. And so, Deha Jivitadishu api anabhisneha. The meaning of Sarvatra is this, according to Bhashyakara Bhagavan. But Shankaranandji has a very interesting thing to say. He says that this Muni now is a sannyasi because he wants nothing else. All that he wants is Paramatma. And therefore, since there is no other desire except for desire for liberation, then that desire for liberation will be fulfilled only by knowledge. And therefore, a life of complete dedication for in the pursuit of knowledge is life of sannyas. Shravana manana nididhyasanam. That is all that is there. And therefore, he is a sannyasi. Then for that sannyasi, he says that he should not have abhisneha even in the langot and the stick that he may hold. Huh? He says, Kantha kaupinadi parigrahe deha jivane api anabhisneha atyanta sakti rahitaha. Kantha kaupinadi, a blanket to cover the body, to protect it from the wind and rain and all these things. There is a kantha, godadi. Kantha means godadi. Kaupinam means the loin cloth. Just to cover the loins. That is called as kaupinam. And that is all the sannyasi should have, kantha kaupinam. In fact, even when we take sannyas, Paramahamsa sannyas, Danda Kamandaladi also is given up. We stand in Ganga in the middle of the night. The danda, the stick is also given up. Not even that. Kamandala is the water pot, that kamandalu. Even that water pot is also given up to carry water. Even kantha kaupinam is also given up. And so, and he's then told, now walk northwards. Uttar Disha. Then the Guru calls him and says, for Lokalajja and Deharakshan, you wear kantha kaupinam. And a cloth is given, a loin cloth is given, a cloth to cover the body is given. Geru Astra. So he is a sannyasi. Over there, Shankaranandji says that he should not have abhisneha even in those kantha kaupina. Kantha kaupinadi, the meaning of sarvatra means kantha kaupinadi parigrahe api anabhisneha. What is this abhisneha? Madhusudan Saraswati will explain. He says, Yasmin sati as anyadiye hani vriddhi swasmin aropyate prema paraparyayaha tamaso vritti visheshaha tamaso vritti visheshaha snehaha. What is called as sneha? He says it is also a form of a tamasa vritti. It is also a tamasa vritti, meaning a bhranti only, just as we have seen in the earlier case. This is also the another form of a vritti, which is predominantly tamoguna oriented, sneha. But how is it? It is prema aparaparyaya. It is another word. Sneha is another word, a synonym for what we generally called as our love. Prema aparaparyaya. But when do you call it sneha? Anyadiye hani vriddhi. You know, the loss and gain of somebody else then is considered as your own loss and gain. Anyadiye. Now, anyadiye is dvivachanam. Okay. Anyadiye hani vriddhi, like mala male. Anyadiya is strilinga ekvachan. Anyadiye is strilinga dvivachan. So anyadiye hani vriddhi. The hani and vriddhi. Hani means loss. Vriddhi means some prosperity, gain. Somebody else's hani, whether it is your son, daughter, wife, husband, father, mother, brother, whosoever. Now their loss and gain is considered to be your loss and gain. So swasmin aropyate. Now this fellow gets injured, falls and he bruises his head or something. Now this father over here is becomes disturbed, is not able to do. The son is little bruised because he's playing. Whatever the cricket ball or something just hit, and he's a little bruised. Over there, Hani Vriddhi Swasminarupyate. It is as if I have fallen sick. Prema aparaparyayaha tamaso chitta vritti vishesha sneha. This is called as sneha. At this point, Madhusudan Saraswati has a very interesting observation to offer. And he says, such abhisneha, such intense attachment, because of which you imagine the loss and gain of others as your own loss and gain, and it is a synonym to love. Such abhisneha, though should not be there in objects and people outside of the world, yet this abhisneha should be there in Bhagavan. Look at that. Bhagavati tu sarvatha abhisnehavan bhavedeva. And he adds eva to it. Indeed, it should be there. Such love should be there for God. It should be there for God. He says, why, sir? Because this Paramatma, though you are imagining God to be somebody other than you, but is not anything other than you, is your very self. So it is not anatma vastu. Paramatma is atma vastu only. Anatma sneha bhavasya tadarthatva. It is not going to finally end up as your love for anatma. It is your love where it has to be. And therefore, when love is placed in God, love has reached where it has to reach. Such love will not be frustrated. We place love in world and then feel disappointed because that love is disrespected. But when this love is placed in Bhagavan, it will never be disrespected because that is where the love is supposed to sit. It is Atmavastu only. And therefore, Bhagavati tu sarvatha abhisnehavan bhavedeva. That is Madhusudan Saraswati's observation over here. So, tau abhinanda dveshau bhranti rupau tamasau katham abhrante shuddha sattve sthita prajye sambhavetam. And so, how, since this abhisneha is also not there, abhinanda. So, abhinanda and dvesha, both of them are also tamasa vrittis. How would that be there in case of this Muni whose now mind is predominated by Sattva Guna? How would they be there? And therefore, tasya prajna pratisthita. His prajna is that intelligence, that knowledge is steadfast. There are a few more things over here, but this much is enough for us to continue our day. So let us remember, Yas sarvatra nabhisneha tat tat prapya shubha shubham nabhinandati nadveshti tasya prajna pratisthita dukkeshvanudvignamanaha sukeshu vigatasprihaha vitaraga sthitadhir muniruchyate. This is Muni. This is Sthitadhi. This is Sthitaprashya. So we will meet to study more in our next class. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnaat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashkrito Vande Bhagavanto Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshina Murtaye Namaha.